I wanted to talk about my grief today. I wanted to talk about my recent grief and what I have been doing about it, what I have been doing to process my grief. I was going through my notifications on my YouTube channel and I saw that someone had left behind a comment, and the comment read, "Wow, Istebrak, you really fell off. Wow, Istebrak, you really fell off." And I just deleted the comment. I didn't want to deal with them. I didn't want to give them a stage for whatever it is they meant to do with that comment. They approached a channel that is educational, pure, like through and through, purely educational. And they wanted to leave behind a comment that would hurt the creator in some way. They thought of nothing else to say, not the 800 videos over the last 10 years of me teaching day in, day out. They wanted to instead focus on how my views are much lower than they used to be, or demeaning where I am currently. They wanted to make me feel smaller, or they wanted to make me feel, in case I haven't noticed, that my views are lower. They wanted to make sure that I saw that. They wanted to make sure to remind me. Ever since I read it, I tried to ignore it. I usually ignore all the hateful comments that come in. You're bound to get them if you critique art. And most of these viewers are young with no self-awareness, and at an age where they have a lot more emotion than they do sense. So I completely understand. I'm a 35-year-old woman who has established, her life. And I usually don't let these things get under my skin. It really stung. I'm surprised at how much it stung. But to explain why it stung is to go back 2 years. When I first started, really thinking about what's happening to my channel, I realized, okay, I've reduced the length of my videos. I've made shorts. I've done everything I can. There's got to be something that I did that angered the algorithm or angered YouTube. I contacted YouTube. I asked them, did I do something? Am I shadow banned? They said, no, your channel standing is fine. There is no shadow ban. Because at one point I criticized Trump. At one point I criticized Israel. At one point political things that affected me directly. If anybody knows me, knows that I am an Iraqi, and I was born in the Gulf War, and I lived in a refugee camp for 5 years after the Gulf War in Saudi Arabia, and we were refugees into Canada until we were naturalized there, and I found my way to the US to start, to live. So the Middle East and what's happening in the Middle East and what happens every day to this moment as of 24 hours ago, and what the US just did to the Middle East has been a constant overhanging narrative in my life. I look around and watch the blood of my people flow like water, and I'm constantly reminded that I am unwelcome in the United States, the very country I fled to from abuse and neglect. And I started eventually getting more acquainted with American culture. Eventually I learned that the Statue of Liberty has a plaque, and it has a little message on it. And when I first read it, I started sobbing. I felt like the wretched refuse of a teeming shore. I felt like one of the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. I was tired, I was poor. And, I came to the US to feel free and to feel that I had somewhere where I can build something. When I started seeing my channel reduce in numbers, especially after the pandemic, they introduced this new algorithm, they introduced shorts, they introduced all these different features and tools, the YouTube Studio. So all these things were changing. So I was split between, during that time, the pandemic, and working on my house, which was very old and very broken down. I could not keep up with the changes YouTube was making. All I knew was just make it to Critique Hour and critique some art for people and just keep doing that. It's what I always did. It's what I believed in. And so around that time, I don't know what happened. My views just started dropping. And then around 2023, I started branching out to Instagram. And I started working really, really hard on shortening my hour-plus long videos into 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and keep them educational. Like that was not easy. That was not an easy thing to do. Making those shorts became a full-time job on top of my private tutoring, on top of Critique Hour, on top of working on the house. It was a tall order and it was hard to keep up, but I kept doing it for around 6 months. Fall 2023 on into 2024. Everyone knows what was going on during that time. And then slowly but surely, I started seeing my channel on Instagram go down again because I spoke up for my people. Because I said, why is this happening? Why is this allowed? Why is this happening? How is this acceptable? This is insane. And once again, all of my hard work, all the shortening of videos, all the educational content, all the heart that I poured into those videos, I was watching it. I was seeing those views go down, just like with YouTube, just because I said, I spoke in support of those who are less fortunate, of those who are oppressed. And a viewer had mentioned that the internet is colonized 100%, and that is the bigger picture here. And to speak up against it in any way is to be punished. And I was proud. I was proud that that I spoke up to a level where I was sacrificing my livelihood. That made me proud. That was something I was proud of. I was proud of that because in my culture, and I'm somewhat of an atheist now, so in my culture, I was raised to believe that in the day of judgment, whatever the day of judgment ends up being, be it self-judgment or judgment from a higher power, or we judge each other, whatever happens in the afterlife, really, I realized that my heart will not be heavy. If Anubis puts my heart on the scale, I'll be able to say that during a time when my livelihood was at stake, I spoke up for Hind Rajab, for Sidra, for the Palestinian people. I spoke up. And around like maybe February or March 2024, Hind Rajab's story came out, and I listened to the recording of the last 5 seconds of her life. And ever since then, my view of the world has not recovered. I look at Instagram and I look at YouTube and I see this hustle and bustle of content constantly uploaded, and all of these people constantly selling products and I became so demystified by this rush, so disillusioned by this Western way of life, to think that a little girl who was a threat to no one was destroyed so brutally. I lost any desire to keep going with the rat race, if any was left at all, after 6 months of nonstop bombardment and leveling of the most densely populated area in the world. To read that comment and to see, wow, Istebrak, you really fell off. And to look at all that I had been seeing and all that I had been experiencing, and my grief on so many different levels, grief from my channel that was slipped away from under me, and grief for my own people as a whole, as a general rule. I was born in the Gulf War, and every decade, every 5 years, there's something new happening in the Middle East. The United States is meddling with the Middle East once again. The bully is targeting the same kid in the playground once again, and I'm just watching it all happen in the United States. And the United States and its bombing of my hometown, its bombing of the south of Iraq, all the way up into Baghdad. I actually don't know when my exact birthday is. My mom was just running for her life. She didn't know I was born, and within a couple days, bombs started falling, and they all had to evacuate. I'm not a victim anymore. But I want to tell the bigger picture. In a way, I am speaking to the person who left that comment, because they reminded me of grief that I had shed. I just couldn't carry it anymore. This worry about this channel where I poured all of my love and effort. If I was sick in bed, I dragged myself out of bed and do the stream. If I was tired, if I had a long day that took everything out of me and I had 5% left, and you can hear it in some of my videos, I gave that last 5% to Critique Hour. And I went on whatever source I asked you guys to upload your art, and I critiqued the work, and I uploaded it, and I said that should be all that it takes. That should be it. You know, that should be all that it's required of me. But then after 2020, I realized, well, I have to be like, you know, using keywords, and I have to fix my thumbnail, and I have to pick better titles, and I have to do this, and I have to shorten the videos, and I have to appeal to the algorithm, and I have to avoid certain words, and I can't talk about my people and the pain of my people. And in essence, I can't talk about myself. Wow, Istebrak, you really fell off. I don't think I did. So many different things have happened in the past that have tried to make me fall off, and I've shared one of the bigger ones with you already. So many different things, from health scares to having hypothyroidism. Most of my channel, most of my videos were uploaded while I was really sick, and you could hear the sniffles, and I apologize still for some of those videos, because my thyroid was just not working, and I was freezing all the time. Even in the summer, I had the heater on in my house because my body could just not make heat. It was just not working, and I didn't have insurance, and living in the US, I didn't know how to medicate it. So many things were trying to stop me from uploading these videos for you guys to watch and learn from, because of a promise I made to myself when I was younger. If I ever learn how to draw, I am going to teach everyone how to draw. Because every time I tried to find a teacher when I was young, I could not find one until I made one out of myself. I don't think I fell off. There were so many ways I could have fallen off, but I don't think I did. I think YouTube came short. I think Google came short. I think YouTube and Google don't realize the people the lives that run these channels, the people behind these channels, the lives behind these channels. It's not just content for me. It's, again, a promise I made to myself and all the students of the future, all the artists of the future. I didn't reveal my face for a long time because I didn't want it to be about my face. But also, I had removed my hijab, and I was worried about my family punishing me for that. I didn't want to show my face because it was a genuine fear I had. And when I did show my face, I was dressed in a way that didn't say, hey, click on me because I'm a girl. No offense to any of my female watchers, but you gotta be honest, female channels on YouTube and other channels, if they show their face, they get more views. That's just how it works, unfortunately. That's just how the system is built. And it didn't feel genuine. That to get views, only to get views, I'm gonna show my face. What about my voice? What about my mind? What about my knowledge? Can those be the things that people come back for? Not my face. And so I didn't want to succumb to that. And I didn't want to show my cleavage or show my body in any way. I did this all without revealing my body. I don't think I fell off in any sense of the word. I think that I stayed true to myself in a world that didn't encourage that anymore. And that's a lot of what's happening to a lot of millennials. We were raised to be true to yourself, be true to your heart, follow your heart, make the better choice, and be genuine, have dignity when you do things, pursue that love of community, and care for your community, build a community. These are the things that I have been trying to do for a really, really long time. And I don't think it's fair to say that I fell off. When I read that, in the first couple hours, I tried to repress it, but then it morphed. As grief does, it turns into something uglier when you repress it. And And then I just let myself be sad about it. I let myself hurt about it because it hurt. It stung to read that. Wow, you really fell off. One of the most amazing stories that I have recently experienced because of my channel is I got an application from an Israeli student, and they were applying to be my student, my private tutoring student. And they said that, I do have to tell you that I am from Israel, and I understand if you don't want to talk to me, but for the longest time I have been watching you, and you have shaped my art, you have taught me everything, and I want to know that I am grateful to you, and I completely understand if you don't want to take me on. I want you to know my position and how I share your beliefs against what's happening. And I replied to them and I said, of course not. Of course I don't hate you for the actions of your people. It would be insane to say that. To find peace is to find brotherhood between our two peoples, and this is how it happens. This right here, not rejecting your application and letting you speak. Of course, this is how it happens. This is how the future is built, on us. We, the current generation, the younger generations, this is how we change the world one by one. All of us just start to not care about the carried hatred that is taught to us by our shameful elders. I hosted a challenge on my subreddit, a conversation with a dragon, and the winner, they added me on Discord because usually the winners join me on the challenge day to help me critique the submissions. The really fun way for me to get to know you guys and talk to you guys. It's not just subscribers and users and followers. I actually get to hear your voices and speak with you, which is so fun. You guys are so smart and you guys blow me away every single time. It brings the community to life. I added them and they're like, yeah, I'm the person who applied. Actually, I'm the Israeli who applied to your tutoring. And it was just such a wonderful little meeting. It was so sweet, and their art is amazing, and their art is so full of expression and so full of something that I recognize in myself and the grief I feel. And it was miraculous. I don't think this channel fell off. These things are still happening. And every day more students come in, and every day I meet more people through the Discord, through the subreddit. I don't think I fell off. I don't think my viewers abandoned me. I don't think the magic of what it is to teach and build a community, a guild, has fallen off. The only thing that has changed between the day I started this channel and now is YouTube, and the way it operates, and the way it has no interest in the user's experience. It's just solely focused on making money. And this is all we have at the moment because, in truth, the internet is colonized and there's no way around it. And when I first started the channel in 2013 or 2012, it was a very difficult time in my life. It was at a point where I had decided I am ready to escape my home life and find something better in the United States. I started making these videos and I was virtually penniless, and all I had was just my knowledge that I had collected throughout the years of self-taught art and the things I learned that worked. And then by teaching you guys, I learned even more. And to this day, I'm still learning and still pushing my skills and still trying my absolute best to keep doing what it is that I set out to do when I was younger, which is be a teacher for those who need a teacher. And art isn't the only thing that I do. Art is one of the many things that I do. It's not my only identifier. It's not the only thing that I have. But it hurt to feel that kind of comment so brazenly added to one of my latest videos. It was so vague. It kind of just was designed to try to hurt me. Wow, you really fell off. The world is literally on fire. I don't spite my audience for not, keeping track of my educational videos. Who has time and mental clarity and space to sit down and try to build a craft? People are just trying to feel better mentally. Everywhere you check on the news, it has been one catastrophic thing after another. It is not the age at the moment. It is not the time of skill building. And I understand that a lot of people feel this. A lot of people's art has underperformed because they are so constantly stressed, more stressed than they understand. Social media, Instagram, TikTok, all of that has really taken a toll on the human brain. And so the attention span that we used to have is not there anymore. There are so many factors for why my viewers aren't watching my videos, or 100,000 viewers doesn't mean 20,000, 30,000 views every video. I understand that. I know it's an educational channel. And I never expected big views. I never expected huge turnout. And those who turn out are so full of love and support, and it's always so fun. I have never felt a deficit. People still attend while I'm painting and we're making jokes and doing accents, and I've never felt a deficit. I have never felt anything fall off. Between 2013, where I was virtually homeless, and now there's so much this channel has given me and rewarded me with. I have a home, I have food on the table, I have my job, which is so much more than so many people have, and so much more than my people have in the Middle East. And though every day I struggle with survivor's guilt, I still find some strength to keep going and to keep hosting Critique Hour. But comments like that, my God, they are poison arrows. They are poison darts. They are set up by a person with a sophisticated level of hate to leave a comment like that. Do you think that it shows some kind of wisdom on your part? I have been talking about this. Everyone knows how I feel about what's been happening, and everyone was there when I decided to keep doing it still anyway. No matter what happens with YouTube, the ups, the downs, I don't care. I know that I'm going to keep doing this into my 40s, my 50s if I still can. Teaching is in my blood. I believe it is in my ancestry. And I wanted to turn the grief I felt because of that comment, the grief it woke up. I wanted to turn that into this video and try to turn it into something. Ever since I started really getting into educating myself with gardening, I've been turning my stress about the people of Palestine into a garden. I have been using that grief to garden. And I have been using that grief to work on my home and build stuff. I have been using that grief to cook and make bread that I would only dream of giving to Palestinian children who are starving in Palestine right now. Every bite that I take for them. Every bite that I take with them in mind. Every glass of water, of clear, crystal clear water, I drink with them in mind. Every flower that is blooming in my garden is blooming for Hind Rajab. That is why I haven't been toiling over this channel the way I used to. Because I can't work on a channel to sell and host ads for products sold and in support of the destruction of children. I couldn't keep toiling over this channel anymore. That's where I have been. If I have been absent from Instagram, if I have been absent from YouTube, if you're just seeing a general emptiness in my direction, that is where I have been. I have been gardening. I have been studying gardening. I have been building. I have been studying building and construction. These are the things that I wish I could do for the people of Palestine, but I am helpless. Every day I dream about rebuilding, and every day I dream about planting new olive trees for the people of Palestine. Every flower that blooms in my garden blooms for Hind Rajab. That is where I have been. That's why I can't, outside of just being there and teaching every critique hour, I can't do any more. I can't play this social media game. I focus on my Discord and my Discord family. I focus on my friends and my family. I focus on my community. I focus on keeping my head high, despite what's constantly happening around me. And the constant war that is waged against women like me, people like me. The only safe place for artists the only safe place for Arab women, the only safe place for artists who are Arab women is the community they build. And the channel is just one part of that community. It's not the whole community. So if the views have fallen off, so be it. I couldn't care less about the views. In 3 or 4 months, I went up 50,000 followers on Instagram with my shorts. I just wanted to bring people to the YouTube channel some way. And so I really leaned into Instagram. But once Instagram started showing its true colors and censoring anyone who spoke up for these children, for these people, I abandoned that too, because how could I participate? How could I participate? My livelihood is not worth my dignity. It isn't. That's what it comes down to. My livelihood is not worth my conscience. It's not. It's not. That's the philosophy here. That's the question here. To a lot of people it is. But to me it's not. You know, to try to contort my soul into something that it was not capable of being. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep playing that hashtag game anymore. And so yeah, maybe my numbers fell off, but nothing else, none of the good that comes with this channel, none of the purity that comes with this channel, that camaraderie, that kindness, that community, the learning, all of that is as good as it's ever been. And as of right now, the United States has attacked another Middle Eastern country. And as of right now, it is more important than ever that I stay focused on what it is that I'm meant to do here on this earth as an Arab female artist. And how important it is, all the different fights I'm fighting. Not just the fight of art and keeping my skill at its sharpest, but to keep myself as a free woman and resist the ideologies I was raised with, to resist the colonial powers, the supremacy that hangs over all of us, constantly threatening our peace, to resist the racism around me, and then finally to resist comments like that to the best of my ability and turn whatever grief they cause into something, which is what we artists do. We turn our grief into something. We're alchemists, we're magicians. We turn all of what we've gone through into something real, something tangible, something that we can read or see. We create with it. So this was my intention with this video. I guess I'll end the video by saying that always give it a chance whenever someone takes a jab at you, turning that grief that they caused into something. There is really no greater way, no greater clap back than turning it into something. All the grief that they have caused you, turn it into something. And at the end of the day, if you really dig deep, every insult given to you is a chance for you to grow. Not because it's a critique on you, but because it is a chance for you to love yourself in that moment and acknowledge your worth in that moment. It gives you an opportunity to look at yourself with love, equal and opposite to the amount of hate that was in that insult. And I want you guys to know that I've never felt abandoned by you. Even though the views are low, I don't care. That's still a full hundreds of views, 1,000 views is still a full lecture hall. And that's all I've ever really wanted. That's all I ever really asked for. And if I got 1 or 2, 3 views, I would still feel happy because I still got to teach. I still got to teach. I have a mouth and a tongue that works, and it wasn't blown off. I have eyes that can see my art. I have hands that can create my art. I am wealthy with blessings, and I am happy to do what I do. I don't care if the views aren't in the hundreds of thousands. I understand that I'm not getting those types of views, and I'm okay with that. And I want to thank you guys for watching the whole video. It was kind of a self-reflection and a bit of a journal. But I hope they see this message, and I hope they understand that though they are anonymous, there's a real person on the other side with a whole lifetime that's reading that comment. And maybe, hopefully, that's a lesson to them on empathy. That you're not just insulting a person momentarily, you're insulting a lifetime of a person and all that goes into it. And I have made so many mistakes in my life. I'm not perfect, and I'm not a saint, and I'm not trying to preach. I try to live my life with that level of empathy, and I can only imagine the kind of pain that person can go through to leave a comment like that. But I forgive them. I never really hated them to begin with. But it hopefully shows you guys that you can turn a dark moment, a very low moment. Oh, it was so dark. It got dark for me there for a second. Into something better. Thank you for watching. Bye, guys.